Welcome, everyone, to this week's Take Charge of Your Life discussion, where we give you tips and talk about ways to live more healthy, live more empowered, and live more free. My name's Tish Taylor from Growth Centric Living. I am a mindset trainer and a personal transformation guide, and this is my co-host, Roberta.
Hey, welcome everyone. It's good to be here with you today. My focus is holistic health and mind, body, and soul transformation. And yeah, just becoming free in the areas that Tish and I are going to be talking about.
Roberta and I are both elite mentorship trainers, certified under our mentor, whose name is Peter Sage. He is from the UK and is a renowned human behavior expert. He has done multiple TED Talks and is a best-selling author. And so our goal here is to show you a little clip of his teachings and then go a little bit more in depth as we analyze that teaching, especially in our categories of live healthy, live empowered, and live free, which really is our version of mind, soul, or mind, body, soul wellness.
Yeah, so the video that we're going to watch, the 60-second little reel, is focusing on whether we're treating the symptoms or getting to the actual root cause.
Symptoms and causes, but where are you placing your energy? Most people are familiar with the difference between symptoms and causes, but where are you placing your energy in life? Are you trying to treat symptoms, which will then just repeat? Or actually focused on asking the question, what's causing that? Now, I see it a lot when it comes to emotional pain. When people are in emotional pain, they often go straight to the source of the pain. Oh, I'm lonely, therefore I need to fill the gap. So you either get into another wrong relationship or you reach for a drink. But why are you lonely? You're lonely because you don't have a good relationship with yourself. And walking around like a letter C, like a half circle, looking for another C to complete you is not going to do it. You need to be able to become a full circle first. In health, most people treat symptoms with things like pharmaceutical drugs. We all know they don't treat the underlying cause. Why? Because a customer cured is a customer lost. It's not their business model. So start asking questions. Rather than treat the source of the pain and be distracted, what is the real cause that I should be focusing on?
So to kind of reiterate what Peter's saying there, we're talking about symptoms versus causes, and mostly in emotional pain, but this does apply also to physical pain. The symptoms being the things that show up, the pain of, say a knee or some of your emotional distress versus, and we tend to treat those instead of actually treating what caused those in the first place. And unfortunately, if we do that, then we end up in this cycle of constantly treating symptoms. So if we break that down under mindset and how to live empowered, okay, we're going to focus on our emotional mastery, which really about our emotional problems. So let's say you're in emotional distress. You have something like loneliness, like Peter used in his example. The symptom is that you don't have anyone, okay? But like he talks about, that's not really what's causing you the loneliness. It's something internal. It's you. The cause is that you don't feel whole all by yourself. Okay. Another example would be when we feel anger. Okay, that's a problem or a negative emotion that most of us kind of want to get out of. The symptom we think is that we're mad at an event or someone else's actions. We're looking again for something outside of ourselves that is causing this, or that we think is causing it, but really we're looking at symptoms. Okay, so if we continuously blame other people or look for reasons why that are outside of ourselves, we're treating what Peter would call the symptoms versus the cause. And the real danger is then we end up in this cycle. The same thing triggers us again, and we feel that same emotion. Okay, that's a sign that we treated symptoms and didn't find the real cause. We didn't heal ourselves in actuality.
Yeah, we live in a society where treating the symptoms is what we're programmed to do. I mean, we have been for decades, really, with television commercials and even the food industry. We satisfy our hunger with junk food and whatever is, flashing across the screen, whatever's tempting. We just get programmed into these cycles of really I guess, limitation and causing ourselves more harm through this process of treating the symptoms. So whether it's emotional, physical, or at a soul level, treating the symptoms only will just keep us, like Tish said, in a vicious cycle of never getting to where what we know is possible in our life, and living with discomfort and even, extreme suffering, if that's the case, to just because we kind of have a mindset of, well, it can't be any different, or that's just the way it is, or I have to accept this. And honestly, we really don't have to accept it. Our journey is one of true transformation. So we know that living, looking at the root cause and getting that true freedom is entirely, what we're here for, really.
Yeah, we want to, I think there's two sort of mindset shifts that we're trying to encourage here. The one that you don't think that you have to put up with or settle for what's happening on the outside. You do definitely have a choice and have power within you. The other one is we live in this convenient society, and so people are looking for that easy fix, which is again inherent in our society, where we need to look deeper. It's not just what's happening on the outside. We need to be able to recognize that this is what's happening and we're reacting to something superficial, which are our symptoms, but it's really something deeper. We need to take a few more minutes to sit with this and seek out the causes so that we don't keep repeating over and over and over this continuous cycle.
Yeah, that's an excellent focus and a tip to really focus on. And most people, we know inherently inside of us whether we're okay with where life is at. And I guess the encouragement is not to wait until we have a breakdown or a crash in our life in some area to then recognize, what we need to do, but to really be preventative. That'd be even better, right? And then having to find a root cause for something that's pretty dramatic and destructive in our life, but even prevention of that by being aware of the needle, I guess, and how your life is being directed, and knowing when it's becoming where there's an engine light coming on that's saying, let's find a different direction here before we just completely, get to a place where we're disempowered and not feeling, like we're functioning the way we could and what we know is possible. So that leads us into, oh, sorry, go ahead, Tish.
Sorry, I was just going to kind of recoup that and give our tip for that. We're really talking about step one to emotional mastery, right? And embedding this stuff into our person is to become aware that you are in an emotional state, become aware that you are experiencing symptoms of something that has happened to you. And you need to start here and basically kind of like wake up and become aware. So our tip for mindset this week is to take note of when you're in emotional state, when you are feeling overwhelmed by some kind of normally negative emotion. The happy ones were a little bit more easy to take on, and we don't need to change those so much. We want to stay in those states and work to become more aware so that you can journal about this is one of our suggestions. If that resonates with you, or write it down, but just at least take a few minutes to become aware that you are in this state.
Yes, thank you. So that leads us into our live healthy section and focusing on how to transform our body, our physical body. And I guess nowhere is it more obvious than in the physical health realm of symptoms versus causes. Everything has a cause and everything has a cure. And we've been taught that there are, for many, many things in our physical health, that there is no cause and there is no cure. And like Peter said, that's the business model of the, medical institution that doesn't want to have someone resolve their health issues because they will lose a customer. And I know that the body wants to heal. It's completely our natural state. It never quits healing us. So it's not that we have to keep something or that we have to stay sick or maybe it won't work for us. It's that every single body is designed to heal. And that's what it does 24/7. So the focus for the solution or getting to the root cause is aligning the body with what it needs. If it has what it needs, there's no reason for it to break down. It's not lacking anything. It's not limiting itself from repairing and rebuilding or detoxifying itself when it has all its tanks full and it can draw on those resources to do its normal functions. I guess for an example for myself is again back to depression and getting a pharmaceutical drug to antidepressant to try to manage that. And for a while it felt great. It really helped my situation. I felt like, yeah, it did what it was supposed to do. And then a couple years into that, it just took a huge toll with side effects. And so those quick fixes and it was quite inexpensive at the time. And it was just like, well, this is the right next thing to do just to get through life and to keep moving, which that's okay. It was probably part of my journey, but it led me to this work and knowing that the side effects from it were so extreme that when I tried to get off of the medication from those side effects, the depression was way worse than it ever was before I went on the medication. So really led me down a dark hole. And but it led me to find this path of true transformation with holistic health, so I could resolve that and now hope, share that with other people. So I don't know if you have any examples, Tish, that you want to share concerning that.
Yeah, I have one too. I guess I was experiencing pain in the top part of my arm here. And going to the doctor, I figured I had a few options. I thought they were going to give me some kind of like pain medicine or even x-ray this part of the arm because it was really sort of hurting. And it turns out actually none of that was the case. Thankfully, I have a doctor and is aware of my take on kind of pharmaceuticals and those kinds of things and chooses less intrusive ways. So I went to physiotherapy to actually find out that it was in my neck. And it was from sitting at a desk all day, and it was a muscle that had tightened in my neck that was causing a pain down here in my arm. So had I treated just those symptoms, right, you can see how that wouldn't have went away. My arm might have felt better for a little while, but then it would have come back because my body would have still continued to compensate for the root cause of that pain. And a lot of times I think that if we think about nutrition and stuff, just because people are not aware, a lot of those symptoms show up in our bodies that the cause is nutrition. We don't have what our body needs, which causes us some kind of pain on the outside. And we're continue to do the same thing of treat the symptoms instead of finding the actual underlying problem.
Yeah, and I guess to finish my story a little bit on that was finding the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual healing that needed to take place. But the physical part was a key component. So without healing my brain, which was very it was very weak, it was very tired, and it just couldn't function. So that's an organ that needed support and needed to be cleaned. I had heavy metals and chemicals on the brain. So knowing that getting to those root causes then restored my brain. So now I can function in the emotional realm and in the practical realm of life and do what I do. And had I not got to the root cause of that, I'd still be floundering and trying to, show up on the outside looking functional, but inside living that quiet life of desperation that I was. And so, yeah, just the whole concept of our culture, just diving into treating symptoms in so many ways in our life, getting that quick fix, like you said, it's heartbreaking to see where that path leads. And that with just really a few months of your life, you could, totally transform some of those paths that we're on that are causing this endless cycle of not getting the life that we want.
I think that's important what you said there too, in that it takes time oftentimes to find that root cause and treat it. And again, we're contradicting that quick fix society that we want the pain to stop right now instead of taking the time to let your nutrition go through your body and that whole detoxification and stuff that you do so well for people within your business.
Yeah. So, our tip on that area is to, empower yourself to seek out information. Don't just settle for the first thing that comes along or the quick fix. In the physical realm, our body is capable of healing 95% or more to get a health status of 95% or more. So like I started at a health status of around 20% and now I'm up at 96% in my health biology and the functionality, which dramatically affects the mental health and the way I show up in the world and the anxiety level and the stress response. So it's just completely shifted all that. So we know that it's out there, and we invite you and welcome you to, come alongside of us and be interested and curious about the journey that we've taken, because there's no reason to just keep floundering and seeking and looking. We have found the path and a solution to that. So it's exciting. That's why we're here. We want people to be able to grab onto that and get to the root cause and do it quickly. Trauma recovery shouldn't take a lifetime, or that dysfunction in our life in every area shouldn't be a lifetime endeavor, that there is a way to move forward in it in just a, profound way, like I said, within months.
Well, I think that brings us then to our soul section of our discussion. Again, this is the like all encompassing. So, as we've been talking about, emotions are sort of the secret to self-mastery. So, the secret to really tuning in to what's happening around us and where we're being guided spiritually to get to. So, we need to understand these symptoms and that it's a signs of not just physical things, sorry, but also emotional or spiritually that you are on the wrong path. So before you can take the next or before you can move forward, we really encourage you to sort of take a step back. Start with that step one that we said back in mindset, become aware. And then as you progress, start to identify these emotions. And we're going to give you a tool for that, as well as, separate yourself. We aren't angry. I'm not angry myself. I'm not an angry being if that's how I'm feeling, or depressed. I am feeling this emotion. I am experiencing this symptom. And that really, again, shifts our mindset, but also separates us so that now this is something outside of ourselves that we can fix. It's not embedded in our soul as who we are. And then step three is to, we don't want to ignore this either. We don't want to imply that you should just sort of walk through your negative emotions and ignore those while you're looking for the causes. We understand that in a moment where you are feeling emotional distress, this is very real, very like tangible to you and your whole body. So we want you to sit for a minute and allow this, just accept this is a feeling, this is a message, this is a sign of, a symptom of something that is wrong. I'm first going to deal with this in becoming aware, identifying it, and then allowing it to pass through. Emotions are really energy that are making their way through our bodies.
Yeah, and as you're talking, it reminds me of the emotional journey I've taken as far as working through and processing emotions over the years. And the tool that we're going to share with you is called emotional literacy. So it's getting in touch with those emotions, not just suppressing them or ignoring them or covering them up with quick fixes, right? So that we don't have to feel them. But it's profoundly shifting. It's almost like they're trapped in our system. And by becoming aware of them and doing some processing of them, like Tish was saying, are able to be free of whatever, the impact that painful emotion has had on our life. And it'll keep coming up until we address it, till we look at it, till we acknowledge it. And then it's free to go. And so it's a very powerful, probably a critical piece of transformation in our life is to deal with the emotional part, right? Because as we talked about in some of our earlier talks, that life is lived on emotions. Our life is about emotions every day, right? We're feeling things from the minute we wake up till we go to bed at night. So being able to manage that and process the negative ones so we can truly be free is, it's a goal. It's a true gift to ourselves and to the people around us.
And it doesn't take that long to process that energy through your body, right? It only takes 90 seconds. Mm-hmm. So we're not looking to, sit here forever in this part. And really, I want to reiterate the point that this is kind of part one, right? So we're dealing with the symptoms and we're giving you tips here in order to deal with those symptoms, which is the start in becoming aware of them, identifying them, and then sitting with it and letting that energy flow through. And then our next talk, actually, we're going to have a part two where we talk about trying to find the root cause. Right. So for me, one of the ways that I let emotions kind of make their way through my body is through dancing or like even physically shaking. I've kind of done some research and looked for different ways and tried some different things that sort of help me. So when I'm in a frustrated or really kind of negative state for one reason or another, then again, I walk through these steps and try to move that energy through my body. And it's amazing how you can kind of feel that release.
Yeah, it's true freedom because for people that don't show emotion, like I was taught not to show emotion, it's truly like it can make things very mentally disturbing just to be living in that kind of pressure cooker or that all those negative feelings that are kind of trapped in our body. So again, like I said, doing this work is, and it's not really work, it's a privilege, it's an honor to give ourselves that freedom, to be able to have, like, I guess for my example is that I processed a lot of these emotions over a season of time in my life. And it was really connected to grief, like losses and the deep grief that was felt around them. And once I processed those emotions, it's like I don't have grief. So like if something negative happens or somebody passes away, I don't have years of grief to come into play and start feeling all that. It's like that's been cleaned up. You know, the past has been released and cleaned up, and now I can take things at face value in the moment, and it's not a whole mountain of emotions that come forth. It's like I really can live in a real balanced emotional state because of doing that emotional processing and really, you know, making that a practice, because yeah, it brings freedom, and it's really simple, and it doesn't take long at all.
Well, and that's a good point, especially when we're talking about triggers. These things some tend to snowball, right? If we keep having these experiences, the symptoms get bigger
Mm-hmm.
uh, as we go. And that reminded me kind of too of one of the things that once I learned that emotions were something that we do have some power over, which was a huge game changer for me. Immediately started trying to talk to my kids about it as well, in helping them sort of understand that no emotions are bad. They're all signs. You know, actions can be right or wrong, but emotions themselves aren't. It is how you feel, and we need to kind of work our way through that. So trying to give them some tips, especially in this realm as well. And step three, in helping them process. You know, it's okay to take time out or punch a pillow, or, you know, I've seen some like blowing candles or taking deep breaths and those kinds of things to recognize and take a minute with those emotions.
Right. So I don't know, do you have any other tip for that, living free, or does that kind of was the tip, there's a sharing of the points there?
Yeah, kind of the steps through. I think we're just sort of extending on the tip again that we gave for mindset. So if you have your journal out, if that's what you decided to do, we becoming aware and then start identifying these emotions and writing things down definitely helps process. I know it helps me, so if that works for you. And then even finding ways to release it. So maybe this takes you a few tries. I'm so sorry. Uh, to find out what works for you, whether it's dancing or shaking or moving in some way or sitting in silence like Roberta attempts to do. And then we have that download that you have, which is a PDF to try to help them work through their emotions as well. So that's our tip for the soul this week.
Yeah, thank you. It's an interesting discussion, and you know, we share a lot of interesting concepts along with Peter, and we're so grateful to have this opportunity. But we know that it can be kind of a lot to think about and to put into practice, and so we know that, you know, we can offer that guided path through this process, because I know with information coming at me anyway, I got to be like, whoa, wait a minute, I need to write this down, or I need to put it into action, or otherwise it just kind of goes out and then the next thing comes along. And so to really lean into this process, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't offer for those of you who are ready, and we know this isn't for everyone, but those that are open and ready for this change in your life, it is it's an opportunity, a golden opportunity, really, to grab a hold of these principles and these concepts and make them real. Because I know for so much of my life, I just felt like I was learning. And I took some things in, and thankfully it kept me moving along my journey. But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, oh, I didn't get that. And, you know, I don't know how to do that, or I didn't keep up with that, or I didn't continue doing that. And there was always this negative, kind of this judgmental thought of, you know, plus I wasn't quite free. I wasn't getting that total freedom that I knew was possible. And so being able to sit with this and work through this in a guided process, it becomes part of who we are, and it becomes simple, and it becomes fun to walk this journey rather than kind of floundering around and trying to grasp, you know, these concepts and implement them on our own. That's very unlikely that most people will not do it without some kind of connection and accountability. And so to be able to have these tools that we've fleshed out really in our own lives through, you know, trial and error and practice, we've come to these that have root cause solutions. And we know that your life can be massively better by embracing these tools and these programs that we've been privileged to walk and get the freedom and the results from.
Excellent. We had a whole, that was actually, you almost reiterated one of our other talks about how we implement change, right? And knowing and not doing versus, making that become your identity. And we certainly here are to assist anyone that is ready for that journey. So our quote for this week is easing your symptoms, okay, is important, but don't forget to seek out the root cause. And stay tuned for part 2 of this discussion where we really talk about treating that root cause.
Yeah, and just to again focus on that tool that we're going to leave below that you can click on and download. It's on emotional literacy, and we'll attach an emotional wheel or an emotions list so that we can pick out and identify the emotion. Because I know when we say identify the emotion, typically I only had 3. It was sad, angry, or happy. And this one has, several, I don't know how many are on there, 50 to 100 probably. And being able to pinpoint, what the actual emotion is, and just kind of look at it and sit with it and see which one resonates with you the most, and then plug it into this little tool that we have that helps us process that emotion. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, welcome you to connect with us on our booking links, to reach out for inquiry or conversation. We're always open and willing to connect. And we know that for some of you, I've had many people come to me and say, oh, I wish I'd have found this sooner. There's no reason to, because if we think, what's the price of not resolving the root cause of our mental and physical health? If we can sit with that question and realize that this is only an opportunity for a freedom and healing and restoration. And it's a privilege and it's a joy for us to share that with you. And we know that for some of you, it's time for you to, make that decision and to have that better life that we know is possible.
Yeah, and your first calls are always free, so we should say that there's no obligation. If you're thinking you're even curious, then please book with us and let's have a chat.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Tish.
See you guys next week. That's all we have for today.